Hey, it's Ken Lewis. Welcome back to AudioschoolOnline.com. So this lesson is Mixing Hip-Hop Instrumentals, Session 1. It's going to be many sessions of these, mixing different instrumentals each time. So the first thing I'm going to do with this is I'm going to do a very fast, rough mix so that I can start getting a sense of what the beat actually is that I'm mixing. To me, whenever I mix, I think this is one of the most important things about mixing is you want to start getting this audible mental picture of what your song is or what your instrumental is before you begin mixing, because otherwise, you're going to pull up a kick drum channel and you have no point of reference if you don't kind of have a picture of what the final beat is going to be when you're finished mixing it. You don't know if you want like a kick drum that's really punchy and mid-rangey, or a kick drum that's like all sub, or so the first thing I'm going to do is just rough mix so I see what I have. Here we go. Cool, so got my rough mix together, took a minute or two. This just gives me a basic idea of what I'm getting myself into. I can hear that, I've basically got one kick, a clap, some shakers and maracas are taking care of what would normally be taken care of by hi-hats. Got some congas going on the percussion, we got a cymbal crash, bass line, kind of a real deep, heavy bass line. And then the bulk of the beat melodically is really a few things. Is this what is this thing called? The thin sync lead. And then we also have this piano that does these hits. And then we have this whistle. And then did I play you the theremin? So we have kind of like 4 or 5 main melodic elements. So there's not a ton to this, but I think most beats probably don't have much more than this, especially in the hip-hop world to start. So I can tell I'm not going to go for like super subby kicks. I think I want this kick to hit kind of, hit your chest, but not really move the subs too much. I want the bass line to really sit on the bottom end and fatten up the whole mix. And with this mix, I don't hear this kind of a beat being the type of a beat that I want to be like really like dirty and grimy. This kind of seems like something I'm going to go for a bit more polish on, really nice sonics instead of kind of dirtying things up like I would do maybe with a sample beat or like a New York beat, something like that. So now that I've kind of gotten my rough mix, I'm listening, I know what things are doing, I'm going to start digging in and just seeing where this takes me. I'll probably start with the kick drum. giving it a touch more sub. I think it needs it. It probably needs a little 60 hertz and maybe a little 125. I'm not doing very much at all, and you can see kind of the impact of the shape that it has if you're listening on big speakers, which I am. Give it a little point at 2K so it still cuts through the mix when the mix gets a bit more dense. And you can also see, if you look at this kick right here, you can also see that it's hitting virtually the exact same volume and level every single time. So unless I want to shape it a certain way with a compressor, I don't really need a compressor on this to even it out. I don't get the impression by listening to it that a compressor is going to help me shape it in any way. So I'm probably going to kind of mostly leave it alone. I know a lot of people are like, really want me to dig in more on drums, on hip hop and stuff, but honestly, the majority of mixes, it's most important to get your balances right. And then once all of your balances are right, then you can start figuring out, like, okay, does the kick need enough sub? Does the kick have enough snap on it? You know, what is it? But early on, I tend not to do very much unless I really feel like it needs it. I don't think this kick needs much at all. So I'm going to move on to maybe the clap now. Now I think that could use a touch of compression. Let's see what I'm gonna go for. I'm thinking the CLA 76. Okay, so basically what I'm using this compressor for is I want, you know, I like the initial attack of the clap, that's nice, but I want the actual sound of the clap to last a little bit longer. So what I'm doing is I'm letting the initial transient come through, and then I'm having the compressor pull back really hard and then release it. And I'm also, so basically what I'm doing with it is the reverb trails that you can kind of hear fade. Here's the clap with nothing on it. So, and then I'm using the compressor for a few things on this. First, I'm pushing the output so that I'm hitting digital zeros, and that's on purpose. So I'm not necessarily distorting it. It doesn't sound distorted to me, but I'm kind of using the digital limits to push the entire sound up into that, just so it just hits harder and the entire sound lasts longer and is a little bit louder overall. You can kind of hear how long the reverb tails stay in the mix now compared to what they were before. And you'll also notice my fader is way down, and it's really loud. It's you know, crushing the channel signal right now. But you don't hear it as distortion. I think a lot of guys are really afraid to you know, push plugins to their limits, stuff like that, because, you know, you've been told, like, you've got to watch your headroom. Understand, I'm not taking up my mix bus headroom by doing this. I'm taking up all of my channel headroom, but I'm not losing my mix bus headroom at all. Let's see where my mix bus. Yeah, I've still got plenty of mix bus headroom. So I'm not worried about that. And I'm intentionally kind of crushing the channel to give me that type of an effect. I know I said I wasn't going for dirty. I don't really hear it as dirty because I don't hear it distorting. these shakers need a bit more bite to them. So I'm probably going to go, let me see. This Helio 69 and the UAD stuff sounds great, especially for mid-range. Cool, so I like that. It's a bit brighter. I boosted 10K a couple dB, and I'm boosting 6K. I think this is probably a shelf, and this is a bell. I'm boosting 6K by about 4 or 5 dB. The one thing that I don't like about it is now there's this kind of ringy mid-range frequency that's annoying me a little bit. So I'm gonna keep this on it. This is what it sounds like. So I'm giving some overall presence to the shaker, but now I'm going to use the Waves Q. Where is it? Here it is. I'm going to use the Waves Q to dial out a little of that kind of really piercing, maybe 2 or 3K that I'm not liking. I'm also filtering out some of the low end. There's really nothing down there for the shaker. I don't even think I need to do that. Now these maracas are really, really thin. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make them sit right bright on top of the mix. I really like the 16K band on this Waves API. But I want to keep the kind of the maraca frequencies away from the shaker frequencies. So I'm probably going to cut a bit of 4K on the maracas and see if I can get the maracas and the shakers to kind of work together like a puzzle. Alright, so I'm going to start working on the melodic stuff and see if I can really bring this sound into focus. I really like this sound, and if it was just the instrumental that I was worried about, I would probably mostly leave it alone. But it's really centered, and it's really right in the vocal frequencies. So I'm going to try and find a way to spread the sound out a little bit, get it kind of out of the center channel and into the side channels a bit more. And probably dial out some of that mid-range frequency where the vocal is going to want to sit, so that when a rapper spits on this beat, that they kind of have this nice sonic hole right in the middle for their voice to sit in and have the music kind of just envelop them while they're doing their thing. And I'm getting Apple RAID card problems. Great. You can hear in solo that there's stuff going on the sides, like just reverb returns, but it's so low in the mix that those aren't really doing anything stereo-wise. So I'm going to try this cool little trick that I love doing with the Digirac short delays. So I think you can really hear what I'm doing. It's one of my presets. I use this on a ton of mixes, but I have like 5 or 6 different settings that are all similar to this. But this is, I mean, you can see on screen, if you copy these settings, it'll sound exactly like this. My, come on. And listen to what it's doing as I bypass it. It's basically taking it from a really focused center channel and widening it out. So this thin sync lead. Right now, I don't think it needs any EQ. It's a nice, clean sound. It's doing what it's supposed to do. Now I've got it out of the center and kind of off to the side, so my mix is getting kind of bigger and wider and more powerful. I'm going to work on the bass line. That sounds really good too. Ecstasy picks good sounds. I'm going to try the UAD Roland Dimension D on this thing. My typical setting on the Dimension D is you got to hold Shift and then you can click multiple buttons. Button 1 and button 4. This is like a kind of a classic setting for mix engineers. If you could see my outboard rack in my studio, I've got a real analog Roland Dimension D sitting in my rack, and this thing sounds virtually identical. I've used my Dim D probably a tenth of it of as much as I used to now that I got the UAD stuff. So check out what this UAD thing is doing. So I put the UAD Dim D on aux 1, and I'm going to feed the thin sync to that. And let's see what that sounds like. What am I doing? Putting this on the thin sync. I was working. Let me try working on the bass line now. Here we go. So you hear the bass goes from kind of dead mono to now it's got some kind of side width to it, but this Dim D tends to just add this touch of mid-range that makes basses just clearer. I don't know why, but that's what it's doing. And now hear how the bass and the thin sync, which are basically doing the same thing, are now working together. The bass is taking care of the subs, thin sync is taking care of the main melody. Let me work on the congas. So these congas kind of hit and die. I'm going to use a real fast attack, fast release limiter to kind of bring out some of the room tone in them and some of the body of them. I don't really need the attack in the mix, so I think maybe I'll use Massey L2007. It's a great sounding limiter. Keep it on the fast settings. Loud, normal is super fast attack and super fast release. Let's see what I can do with this. Now you'll notice something. You see these output meters. In bypass, they're hitting about -10, and when I put it in, they're still hitting about -10. So my peak level is virtually not changing at all, but you hear the actual sound perceptually get a lot louder. So basically what I'm doing is I'm kind of crushing that transient and bringing up, so if you look at what the sound actually looks like, it probably looks like a big spike and then immediately comes down, and then you kind of see the body of the sound. So I'm taking that big spike and I'm cutting the spike off, and I'm taking the decay sound and I'm moving the volume of the decay much closer to the volume of the initial transient. And because I don't need the initial transient, it's not like a snare drum where it's hitting and it's driving my mix. This is just going to be kind of a color sound in the mix. So I don't really care if it's really like punchy or snappy or anything. I want to hear the tone of it. So super fast attack, super fast release. I'm just crunching down that transient and then bringing up the body of the sound right behind it. And like I said, the peak level is virtually unchanged. If you look at the before and after peak level, it's virtually the same, but the before and after RMS is clearly a lot different because it just sounds much louder. Check it out. And you hear much more of the tone of the instrument too, which is really what I'm going for. Hear how much better it sits in the mix now? Before it was just kind of hitting there. I mean, you could hear it, but now your ear goes like, oh, it's actually a bongo, not a conga. It's mislabeled, but there you go. And the bongo sample, the conga sample, actually has just this touch of room sound to it that you really couldn't hear before. And the way I've got the limiter set up on it, you can really hear that room sound. So I don't need to put an effect on it. I'm taking the effect that it was sampled with and bringing that out more. I kind of did similar things with the claps, only I didn't crush the transients too much on the claps. So this whistle is one of the elements that might be perceived as like a hook element, you know, something so the rapper would be spitting over places where the whistle isn't playing, and then when the whistle is playing, that'd be like where the singer comes in and sings the hook, or you know, whatever. I think you get the idea. So you have both the theremin and the whistle kind of coming in together at this point. I'm gonna make, I want to see if I can find a way to make the whistle really present and up front, but I'm going to try and find a reverb that makes it have this kind of ethereal wash to it. So it's a little bit bigger and impactful, but it's still got that kind of gritty presence to it. I don't know how easily that will be to accomplish, but let's find out. So first thing I'm gonna route the whistle to bus 3 and 4, aux, which is aux 2. Then I'm going to put maybe a Lex Hall. So let's just see what the stock large Hall sounds like. So when I stop it, you can hear all that reverb decay trailing off. So you hear, like, as I'm hitting this button, that mutes and unmutes the send to the reverb. So, you know, you can hear it's nice and dry and present in the mix when the reverb is off, but it doesn't lose that presence when I put the reverb on, but it gives it this kind of grander sense to it and kind of a more ethereal wash to it. I'm hearing this cymbal as well. I'm just going to loop one of the cymbals so I can work on it. Now, same thing with that I'm going to do with this that I did with the congas. I'm going to put a fast attack, fast release limiter on it. Maybe the Waves L2. And again, I'm just going to crush a bit of the transient and pare back a bit of the transient and just let the body of the cymbal ring so that I can hear the cymbal longer in the mix is really what I'm going for. So, you know, one of the great things about the wave stuff is it shows you what your output ceiling is and then how much you're attenuating and all. So when this is bypassed, the output is at minus 2.7, which is almost all the way up to digital 0. And when this is engaged, my output is at minus 6, because that's where I'm setting my brick wall ceiling. So it on the peak meter, it's over 3 dB louder without the compression on it. The peaks are. But again, I'm using the compressor to knock down a bit of that transient and bring up the RMS, which is the kind of perceived or average volume of it, and you can hear that it's actually louder in the mix. So, but it's dead mono, and I want to give it a bit of a sense of space. So I am gonna, well, let me see what it sounds like through the dim D. Sometimes the dim D sounds really good, and that's on bus 1 and 2. Sounds pretty good. I'm going to try a dim D on insert instead of bussing and see if it gets even wider. So I'm setting it mono to stereo, setting button 1 and 4 both depressed, just like I am on the aux, and let's see what it sounds like. It's a little flangy for my taste. I like button 2 on this a bit better. It's not quite as wide, but it's just more phase coherent and less kind of flangy and chorusy. Cool. Let me see where we're at. We got these goes. Almost sounds like 50. These I think I want to dirty up a little bit. Not quite sure how I'm going to do that yet. Maybe the first thing, there's this plugin from Cush Audio called the UBK1. This thing is either awesome or terrible, depending on your content, but it is, in my opinion, it's one of the most colored sounding compression plugins. It really imparts a lot of its own sound, depending on how you have it set, into the onto whatever sound you're working on. The splat setting I use a whole lot. I'm going to see how it sounds on this. One of the things I like best about the way the UBK colors things is it tends to give it this like completely different attack and release feel, and whereas I'm taking the transients away from a lot of things, I think this one I'm gonna, well, let's just hear what it sounds like. Go, 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 go. So basically it's letting the very beginning of the sound through, and then it's pulling back on it a lot like what I'm doing on the clap. And the relative volume is still about the same, but you hear it just kind of gets kind of dirtier, more aggressive. And the other great thing about the UBK is it's got this high-pass filter built in. So basically, I think it goes up to 300 or 500. I can't really tell. So what this knob is doing is it's telling the compressor, don't react to any frequencies below whatever this number is set to. So if I have this number set to 300, I think it is, then the compressor is only looking at frequencies above 300 in order to react to it. It's not getting rid of those frequencies, it's just not acknowledging that they're there. So the compression is working on all of the other frequencies. Where this comes in really handy is, say you have a kick drum with a ton of bass, and you don't want the sub bass of the kick drum to drive the compressor. Something like this would be maybe what you reach for, where you can tell the compressor to filter out that low end, don't even look at it, but react to kind of the mid-range of the sound instead. So that's what the high-pass filter on the compression is doing. Go, 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 go. See how it's kind of, not only is it making it a bit more aggressive, but it's making it last longer. The whole sound, it has kind of more substance and staying power. Go, 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 go. And you also notice how it's moving the emphasis of the sound to the initial attack of it. This is subtle. If you're kind of new, you may not really perceive this, but if you listen to this compressor in bypass, it takes a second for the word to really impact. It kind of ramps up and then spikes. Once you put the compressor on, it more like it just hits as soon as it goes. The attack is immediate. Go, 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 go. Still want this a little dirtier, so I think I'm gonna hit it with the Sound Toys Decapitator. Now, I don't want to decapitate this. This box is great for just adding some grime and some grit to sounds. Go, 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 go. Go, 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 go. Cool. Now I'm going to see if I can find a reverb that gives it a little bit of width, and but without making it sound really reverby. Does that make sense? Is that a word? Reverby? So I'm going to go back to my lexicon, go to Lex Rooms. Now, seeing as I use these constantly, there's two rooms that I love for really kind of short reverbs: medium tight room 2 and medium tight room 7. I'm going to see what these two sound like on it. That's even just a touch more reverb length than I want. Let's see what tight room 7 sounds like. See, this is a much tighter room. See the difference between 2 and 7? This seems to give it that kind of width and give it a little bit of depth and three-dimensional quality to it without making it sound like it's got reverb on it. A lot of the time that I use reverb to just kind of create a different space or create a bigger space, but not create a reverb space. And that's what I'm doing with the goes. I think the last main thing is this piano to work on. I'm going to go back to the UBK. I tend to really like the UBK on pianos. Dun, 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 dun. Hear how it grabs it? So again, this is like the exact opposite of what I was doing with those compressors on the conga and the cymbal, where I was getting rid of the transient. With this, I'm kind of letting that transient punch through and then bringing up the rest of the sound. And again, I got the low pass filter on it so that it's not looking at the real kind of meaty low end of the piano. It's more taking what the mid-range is doing and reacting to that. Then I just want to bring out a bit of the, like, kind of the presence so I can hear those hammers hitting even more. Maybe I'll go back to that Helios is such a nice sounding box. Okay, so the upper bands of this, 6K, 4.5, 3.5, they all sounded good, but to me it cleaned up the sound a little bit too pretty for hip-hop. You know, I want this to be kind of a more polished mix, but I don't want it to sound, I don't want it to sound pretty. I want it to sound kind of mean and aggressive and polished. So I think 2.8 is probably a better frequency to boost this. Now it kind of cuts through the mix really well. You can hear the hammers and you can really get a sense of what the piano is doing without it getting too clean. Cool. So the piano's got some weight to it. I put a touch of low end on the Helios as well. So the last thing to add to the mix is this theremin, which kind of layers in with the whistle. So the first thing I might do with this is, I don't know if it's going to work, but I'm gonna use this Waves Mondo mod. Where is it? Here it is. Now, Waves Mondo mod has this really cool patch called Full Rotor, which simulates like a Leslie rotary organ speaker cabinet. It usually is set way too fast. I usually slow this way down. And it basically what it does is it pans, and at the same time it's panning, it incurs phase shifts. So it sounds like it's kind of doing this back and forth as opposed to just this. I don't know how it's going to sound on this. Let's find out. Okay, that's really cool. So basically, I really like this. So what I'm doing is I have this, the full rotor on the mono mod going slow enough that you don't really perceive the panning, and it never really goes like hard left or hard right. It's always kind of there, but it just, if you start paying attention to it, you just kind of very subtly feel it moving around. Not enough to draw attention to itself, but enough to kind of stay out of the way of what the whistle is doing, get a bit bigger in the mix, and just kind of, I don't know, it sounds good to me. I still want the focus to be the whistle. This just needs to kind of add some color to the mix. All right, I'm going to try some parallel compression on the kick, see if I can get it punching just a little bit more. The bass is fat enough that it's taking care of all those low frequencies. So what I'm going to do with attempting parallel compression on the kick is I'm going to duplicate it. So on Pro Tools, it's Control-click, then brings up a menu, and then duplicate. So also, just so you're aware, I have delay compensation is on. You must have delay compensation if you're going to do parallel compression. I don't really think it'll work otherwise. Okay, so I'm going to, how do I want to hit this thing? Well, we've been using the UBK, so maybe I'll try that first, see what it sounds like. I'm going to get rid of all of the sub. I really wanted to see if I can use this to kind of just punch a little bit, just add a little bit more to the kick. So maybe I'll try this cush again. Hear that knock coming out? So the idea with this parallel kick is not to get a great individual sounding kick drum on its own. It's to find the elements that I want to layer in to my main kick sound. My main kick sound is almost done. I'm looking at this to add just a slight bit more impact to kind of the lower mids and to kind of the chest thump of the kick. So this is what the parallel one sounds like. And then this is the main. Now you see what I'm doing is I pull the fader all the way down on the parallel one, Now I'm kind of inching it up until I just feel that kick knock a little bit harder is basically what I'm looking for. And this is maybe all that I will add. So it just gives a little bit more of that kind of lower mid knock to it. Let's see what it sounds like in the home. I think the last thing I haven't really focused on is this whoosh sound. Let me see what it's doing. Now I'm going to try the exact same effect that I used on the theremin on this. I'm just going to move it over. Kind of like that, really, really slow, so it is kind of more of a panning, but you kind of still feel it not quite evenly panning. It's still got some kind of front to back motion to it as well. So basically my mix is just about done. I think everything is together, feeling good. Yeah, everything is feeling good. The kick is hitting right. The clap is kind of really nice and loud, but not totally taking over the mix. Everything has its place. Everything is kind of much bigger and more powerful now than when I started. Everything is more focused and clear, but not in a pretty way, in kind of a clear, aggressive way where everything has its space, but it still can, you know, drive hard and push the mix the way I want it to without sounding kind of really too nice for hip hop. So the last thing, I'm just going to do some finishing stuff on the mix bus. I'm going to start with the Brainworks BX Digital, which I usually use just to widen the mix a touch. So I still use version 1 of this. Version 2 does the same thing, but I don't know, it doesn't seem as common sense to me on the upgrade. But so this is basically, if you don't know what a mid-side equalizer is, or an MS, I'm not really going to explain it to you here, just do your research. Anyway, so all I'm going to do is affect the sides. I'm going to turn up the level of the sides on the entire mix with this knob right here. It's just going to get a little wider. Whenever you're using widening tools, especially on the mix bus, the wider you take it, the less coherent your mix is, and all of a sudden everything sounds like it's on the sides and nothing is focused in the center anymore. I hear rough mixes constantly from people that are like these super wide sounds, but you know, the clarity of the mix is gone. The where the instruments sit and how they hit is just not working anymore, and it's because you're over widening the mix. You got to be careful about that. Don't do too much of it. So a little bit of widening. Then UAD makes this insanely cool little plugin called the Ampex ATR 102 that actually sounds like tape. Now, there's this noise button here. It defaults to on. You can kind of hear a little bit of hiss. I'm actually going to leave the noise on because I think it just helps kind of make it a touch more kind of dirty hip hop. And then I'm going to scroll through some presets. Usually the way it comes up is typically my favorite, this Ampex 456 at +6 1/2 inch. The 1 inch I know it'll make it a bit brighter. I'll go through these. Now this is subtle coloring, but it does make a nice difference, and you can kind of, you know, sculpt the overall sound of your mix a little bit better with this. So I think I'm going to go with the, what is it, Ampex 250 plus 7.5 1-inch tape running at 15 IPS with the noise on. Everything else is the same, and that's that. Hear how it just kind of has this finishing quality to it? I don't know what the heck UAD did. Well, I mean, tape always used to do that when we used to bounce final mixes to analog tape. It kind of had the same effect, so I think UAD captured that really well. Last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit it with Slate FGX. I really love this box. Yeah, by the way, it's about to get a lot louder in your speakers. So typically where I tend to like the sound of the Slate as a finishing box is where the peaks are hitting zeros and the RMS is peaking around like -9 to -10 is kind of where average mastered volume is. So if you compared this to a store-bought CD, it would roughly be about the same volume. Although nowadays, especially kind of EDM and pop EDM are really pushing the RMS levels way louder than has normally ever been done, and I'm not a huge fan of it, but you know, this box will do that too. The other cool thing that the FGX does is it's got this low punch and detail. So basically the low punch detects when subfrequencies are coming through and just kind of pushes them out a little bit more. And the detail does the exact opposite to the high frequency whenever it detects like you'll hear it in the cabasas. It can really bring out the top detail. See, it's not really EQ. It's not affecting the whole mix all the time. Only when it sees like it's almost has like a detector like a de-esser would, where when it sees high frequency, it reacts to it, and except for like a de-esser would pull back on high frequencies, this sees the super high frequencies and it kind of pushes them forward whenever it sees it, and the rest of the time it leaves it alone. It's subtle, but you can hear. And same thing with the low punch. You'll hear that kick drum just get a bit stronger. I actually really like what that's doing to the kick drum, but it's pushed my RMS a little bit too much, so I'm going to back off on the gain a little bit. I'm going to keep the low punch because I like that really driving kick drum sound that it's given me. I'm just going to back the gain off so I keep my RMS at about -9 and that's about it. I'm done. So the last thing that I would do, whenever I finish a mix, I bounce it. It's really easy to do. Maybe I'll set, I don't think he has an ending to this. Okay, so there is a kind of an ending. So it's a 4-minute bounce. So I'm going to see where it starts. So basically I highlight a region. It's a nice clean start at the top, and it ends where I want it to end. So I'm going to go under File, Bounce to Disk. I'm going to set this to interleave, 24-bit, sample rate 44.1. I do all my sessions at 44.1, unless one comes in at 48 or 96. But if I'm producing or writing, it's at 44.1. And then I hit bounce, and we're done. So this concludes the lesson. I hope you got something good out of it. Until the next one, take care. This is Ken Lewis, Audio School Online.